What's really interesting is that last week I found out that there is a different version of what happened going around. The version that I remember and the version that I felt like I was part of was we had to come up with a game. I said, I don't know how to play rock, paper, scissors with three people. And then Isaiah looks at Max, turns to Max and goes, right, you and me, let's do it right here, right now. And Max goes, just me and you? And Isaiah goes, yes, keep her out of it. Max was then very honourable, ripped off his number, put it in the box. I think we were well ahead of them. However, the version that I have heard is that I refused to play and said I'm not playing because of my son. And I know that there's a clip where it says something, my son. Those bits were edited in, I think, before we played the game. I wasn't even given an opportunity to dispute not playing because the boys just went straight into it. So I don't know where that rumour has come from that I totally point blank refused to play, but I didn't refuse to play. It was just taken out of my hands. Those boys were...
What is poppin', y'all? We are back with another episode of the Squid Game Aftermath Podcast Season 2, where I, DeAndre from Season 1, go through Squid Game, the challenge with the players from the second season to hear their point of view on the games and find out what really went down. This next guest I have, she was running her way through the game, man. She was taking names and numbers and really showing the pivoting prowess that she has towards everything that was going on. I mean, nothing was getting in her way except some shuffleboard games. But we gonna get there. You know, she's been practicing a bit, I've heard. But without further ado, I have the honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce Miss Player 327 Kate in the building.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Apart from like the rain that seems to be following me around, like in LA, and it's back here as well. Other than that, all is good.
Hey, it's a cloud throwing around. I don't know what's happening right now. You know, I don't know what's going on, but that's just what time that's what time we on, I guess. But well, Kate, I'm glad to have you on. I'm gonna start out with going through your player profile real quick. So, you are a fitness trainer.
Yeah, I am a personal trainer. I'm an author. I also am a podcaster, although my podcast is on hold at the moment. But yeah, I specialize in like educating, empowering women over the age of 35 who might be going through the menopause to look at what they're eating, making sure they're lifting weights. And that's really where my passion lies.
That's awesome. I'm a big health and wellness person myself, so I'm definitely all for that. You be healthy, you're gonna have a long, healthy life, and I stand by that. And you know, it's important to have people like you to kind of get everybody else in check, because you know, you're a woman of the people.
And I love it.
And so
I really love it. I love it.
That's excellent. And so you're in England. What part of England?
So yes, I'm near Brighton, which has a beach, not quite the same as the beaches that we're in LA that we've just come back from. But yeah, so I'm in Brighton, which is south of England.
I've always wanted to go to Brighton. I've always wanted to go. I've heard it was beautiful out there.
Well, you can come visit anytime.
All right, I'm gonna make my way down there. They got an airport in Brighton, or you got to take the train from like London?
You go to Gatwick, and then it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not even. So it's nice and easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, easy.
Yeah.
And so you threw yourself on stage with Sister Sledge, claiming you could sing Rapper's Delight. All you managed was Hip Hop Hippie before being removed from the stage.
Yeah, don't make me do it. Please don't make me do it now, because I still can't do it. It's a true story. I have the video. Maybe I'll share that with people if they want to see it. But yeah, the girls came up to me. They were like, "Can you sing it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was terrible. So I was like, "Bye-bye."
That's pretty lit, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got a chance to do it, but I mean, look, you got to make up the words at that point. If you don't know, you just got to pantomime and make them up.
Well, that's what I did, and it was pretty terrible.
Well, shout out Sister Sledge. That's a great group. Legendary.
Indeed.
That's hilarious. Well, Kate, so why did you decide to apply to Squid Game, the Challenge Season 2?
There's a question. So, in actual fact, I got a little DM in my Instagram. So I have like a profile on Instagram where I share, fitness tips and things like that. And I think because I'd written a book, I'd done my magazine stuff, you know, with little DMs saying, have you thought about Squid Games, the challenge too? At that point, I hadn't even seen Squid Games, but it was a real, my kids they loved it. My mum loved it. So I was like, do you know what? I always feel like things come to you for a reason, or you take notice of things for a reason. And, you know, I don't often read every DM. So I was like, well, let's go watch Squid Games. So watch Squid Games, like the real one. And then I watched the challenge, which I loved, by the way. You guys were awesome. I thought everyone in that was really fun. And I thought, do you know what? Sod it. Let's do it, right? Because it might not happen. It might happen. So I applied, and I obviously went through the same process that everybody goes through, even though they reached out. And I didn't think it would happen. I mean, do we ever think it's going to happen? And no, and then it did. So there we go. That's how I came about throwing myself into the world of Squid Games.
It's time to get to it, and what happens, happens. And what happened is you made it on the cast, so congratulations with that. And so it's your last night in Brighton before you take the quick train ride up to London. So how was that last night at home?
Terrifying, scary. You know what? I even think, even up to the last minute, I was kind of debating it. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing? Like, as you will know, and as people that have seen it will see, I talk a lot about my son. I do have like 2 other children, but I actually had to get a carer to move in to look after him whilst I was away, because obviously he has to do treatments for his lungs. So all of that was very overwhelming, as you can imagine. But I also needed to do it because I felt like I need to know that everything's going to be okay when I'm not there. So I was like, just go. Do it. And I also seriously thought I'd be back in like 3 days. So I was just like, oh, I'm off, and I'll be back maybe in 3 days. So
it's a quick weekend trip. I'll be back before you know it. But next thing you know, they don't hear from you for a while, and they're like, "What's going on?" And we need to call the police. We need to call investigative services. What's happening? And
yeah,
so
they did actually make a joke about that, right? They were like, even maybe if you're out on day 3, you know, you'll take your passport and then jet off somewhere nice and hot for the rest of the time. But I didn't, obviously.
it's just like, look, I thought about it, but I could never do that, you know?
No.
I was against my will. I had to stay in the game. And so, you know, you head on over to London, quick ride up, and it's your last night in the hotel before you get in the dorms. Tell me how you're feeling now.
I'm excited. I'm really, really, really excited. I feel like I'm in Miv right now. Tell me how you feel. I'm excited. I am feeling excited. Nervous. We were all quite terrified because obviously, as you will know, there's speculation that goes on. So everyone is speculating about what's the first game. It's going to be red light, green light because of the last season. So just so many things going through my mind. Like, how do I play the game? And this is it, right? This is it. This is now happening. And as you know, as anyone that has done Squid Game, the challenge knows, you can speculate, but you really, really have no idea what is about to unfold. So I think I was just probably really nervous, if I'm honest with you, but excited.
Yeah, they keep you on the edge of your toes and don't tell you any kind of secrets, you know, at least as far as we know. You might have told the twins some secrets, but we don't know either. So you soon get on the bus and you head to the dorms. And so when you first step in the dorms, tell me your initial impression.
Yeah, I mean, that was insane. Totally insane, because we had all 456 players in there, which I don't think you guys got. Did you get all 456 players? No. So that was amazing. And then everyone starts counting the beds or looking around, and we're like, there are not 456 beds in here. So something is about to go down. And it did. And we soon realized that it was going to be a massive, like, wipeout.
Yeah, no, it was getting real quick. And so soon when you get inside, the guards come out and they say you need to pick a line, either red X's or blue O's. Tell me what you picked and why.
I picked blue O. How about that? I was a blue I was a blue O. And then there were too many of us blue O's. So some of us had to move to red X's. And I moved to red X. So that was maybe, I don't know, the universe. But actually I think it was because it was like such a kerfuffle. And I saw all of my friends, like, so the people that I'd been talking to in the hotel, over in red X's. So I was like, I think I need to be over there. So I put myself over on the red X's, thankfully, because that was brutal.
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, you put yourself on the red X and you guys leave the room and the Blue O's stay in the dorms and they announce the game is counting. The team that counts to 456 or gets the closest to it wins. The team furthest away loses. So when you heard these rules, what were you thinking?
I mean, my hands are not my hands. My life is in the hands of the twin, really. Not only that, everybody's stepping forward, and shouting how we're going to do this. And I guess I just thought, actually, in a way, it was quite weird. In a way, I can't change what's going to happen. Like with red light, green light, everyone was accountable for their own balance, their own decision making, whatever it was they chose to do. That was like an individual game. So whereas this, it was like, if I'm out, at least I can go home and say it wasn't my fault.
Facts. I mean, look, all blood off my hands, and what happens
Yeah.
happens at this point. And what happens is your team comes up with a good strategy. They find the right people in charge, and you guys basically get it done.
Yes.
So
We did.
how'd that feel once you found that you won?
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. And like, I've said this on a few like podcasts that I've done or people I've spoken to, like the difference, the kind of cultural difference between Brits and Americans, as well as that, like, we're quite staged, like we sort of cheer and it's like, yay, and then all Americans are like, X, X, X. And I loved it. I loved that energy and I loved that spirit. And I just found myself getting really kind of caught up with that whole excitement and that side of it. So but I loved it. I just felt, it was incredible, and fully enjoyed embracing that kind of energy that was in the room.
Yeah, it's contagious. It's contagious.
Yes,
We come up with the chants and the things and whatnot. And so, congratulations, you made it past the first game. And so, when you get back into the dorms, you also see 431 come back as well. How you feel about that?
Who's that one? 431.
The twin?
Oh yeah, sorry, 431, 432. So he came back. Do you know what? It's so funny because I think you kind of second guess again, like I've said, at stuff. And I didn't think that they would split them up. There had to be something to it. There was always going to be, there was always going to be a little twist. And, those boys were there for a reason. They are, TikTok twins, as I like to call them. And it would have been sad to have seen them both go quite so early, I think, in terms of, a good show and all of that sort of stuff. So it wasn't a surprise. It wasn't like, it was a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise, if that makes sense. And obviously we then knew that something had to be done, right, in order for them to stay. I mean, that was,
Fact, something always got to be done. And what had to be done was they had to eliminate some players. And so they're going around talking to people and whatnot, asking them, what would you do with the money? Did they ask you?
Yeah, they did, actually. I believe that they did, from what I can remember and from memory. Obviously it wasn't shown because I think I get to talk about why I was there later on in the show, the powers of editing. So I was lucky. I made it through. They did the right thing. I mean, I think, you are stronger if you've got a pair in there. So I think taking out another sort of twin factor was probably the right decision.
Do you think that maybe that could have worked with the twins and they could have had those extra? If they take out another threat, then now they're the threat.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I'm not very good at thinking about the strategy, because actually someone, and I'll come to it in a minute, someone actually said, did you not think about using the fact that you knew about Stephen against him and using that as a strategy? Like later on, I was like, no, didn't think about that. So I guess maybe my personality is that I'm not, I just like to maybe see the good in people. I don't really think about that strategy side. Perhaps. Who knows? But I hadn't thought of it like that.
Okay, all good. She's just playing her game and not trying to get too deep into it quite yet. But yes, 3 players are eliminated: 107, 285, and 286. And so soon they get popped in front of everybody, and it is soon time for the next game. And so you guys go into the white room, and then you must divide in groups of 10. Tell me how you decided to pick your 10.
Yeah, so actually again, which is why I didn't seem to be in pentathlon, I was one of the smaller groups because I think you'll see the magazines were like we couldn't divide everybody up. There was no there had to be a team of 8. So I was in the team of 8 with kind of the hotel crew that we'd made friends with before, which was Savannah, Chad, Anya, and Stina on sort of one side, as it were, and then me, Emily, Stephen, and Kevin as an 8 sat like that. So then when we walk into pentathlon, down the middle. So I ended up with Stephen, Kevin, and Emily. And
were you pleased with the split, or were you kind of like, oh, I need to be with the other side?
No, I think I was pleased with the split when I looked at how they played. Sorry, guys.
Oh man, oh man. Well, yeah, you get into pentathlon. You guys have 4 games instead of 5. So tell me how your team decided who was going to play each game.
So I kind of wanted to play Gonji because I had practiced it. I'd also practiced spinning top because in the real games there was spinning top. So I was a bit disappointed that didn't come up. I knew that I shouldn't do the kicking one because that is not one of my talents. And actually the throwing of the stone to the rock, I thought, again, not me. So I didn't really have much of a choice. And lovely Emily, she's played Gonji all her life. So she got that. So I was left with House of Cards, which I was really, really, really bad at, just for the record.
Dang, that bad? How long did it take you?
Oh, well, I think it took me ages, but obviously not as long as it took some people.
Yeah, no, that
Thankfully.
House of Cards is not an easy game. That's probably the hardest one. So, I mean, you got to have steady hands and just a calm sense about you, and you got it done at the end of the day. So,
Yes.
congratulations, you made it past the pentathlon, and soon it is time to get back into the dorms. And when you get back inside, you find out that there is a maintenance room, and our friend 272 comes out with these cookies. Do you get a cookie?
No, I'm not trusting anybody who's got cookies or who's been anywhere else. And it's funny because we still don't know. I mean, obviously the edit shows that he was fine, because we still don't know whether there was anything behind it. I'm assuming not, and they wanted it to feel like we thought there was something behind it, mind games. So no, I definitely stayed well away from the cookies.
Yeah, they could have been like, you eat one, boom, eliminated. I'm like,
yeah. No.
Can't eat
that
food
wasn't
now?
gonna happen. And actually, do you know what? I'd also, before going in, I'd given up coffee, and I'd given up, like, I have quite a sweet tooth, so I'd given up sweet stuff. And so I really felt like I didn't want to eat anything sweet or take any treats because my body would suddenly be like, having got used to it. And, I was just like, no, stick with what you've done and don't stray from the path.
Yeah, you got to keep to it because I got to control these things. And if my body gets a little bit of sugar, it's over for me. I might have to self-evict.
Yes.
And so next day, guards, or the voice above, I say, comes and announces that the slowest players from each group must go to the top of the stage. And those players are 180, 89, 40, 344, and 289. And you all must vote to either save them or eliminate them. So when you heard this, what were you thinking?
Okay, so this again just shows the sort of person I am. I was like, let's save them. Lovely Sean was up there. Again, you're good with numbers, but I'm not. And I didn't want her to go home because she was a fellow sort of Brit, which was from Wales, as it were. And then everyone's talking, right? And that has a real power of persuasion because obviously people were like, yes, of course, they saved us by counting. But equally, the whole point of the game is to just get rid of people. And so, again, I was probably swayed by making my decision based on the more strategic players there swaying my vote, if that makes sense. So I was like, you're right, they got to go.
Voted X to get rid of them. Even the counter? Or no, you voted to keep them? Or...
No, all of them went. You had to just one vote for all 4.
Oh, that's right. Well, so yeah, you voted to get rid of them, though.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel bad about the musician?
Well, I mean, I did, but like at the end of the day, it's a game and we have to get rid of people. Only one person can take the money.
Facts. Hey, look, I understand, you gotta, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what time it was. And unfortunately, that's just the rules that they set
Comes
forth.
For all of us.
They are eliminated. And so soon you have another thing happen. Is they have these scratchers. Do you get a scratcher?
No, I'm still not brave enough. I'm keeping a low profile at this point. I don't want to be on anybody's radar.
He's like, I'm not playing the lotto today. It's not Mega
No,
Millions month for me.
not
I don't
today.
blame you. I don't play the Mega Millions either. And so, yeah, soon we move, and then the second game is about to begin. And so you guys soon walk into the white room again, and there are 4 colored boxes: yellow, purple, blue, and pink, with some markers on there. Which one do you get into, and why?
I was blue. And I think I was blue just because that's where my friends had gone. So Pam and Vicky and some of the older players were there. Obviously, it happened to be on the same side as the twins and Matt and Alicia, who became a good friend. So yeah, so I was blue. You know, again, it's so fun, isn't it? Because the whole thing is a game of luck, like where you go. So I wasn't really thinking strategically. I just put myself on blue.
Well, you're the first blue I think I've spoken to. I'm talking to a lot of the other colors, but I think you're the first blue, so it'll be interesting. So you pick blue. They announce you guys to go inside, and you find out that the game is a game of catch. Everyone and their grandmother has heard of this game. This is a very basic game. The thrower throws it to the catcher. If they both drop it, they are out. And so when you hear these rules, are you feeling confident?
Yeah, I am. I am feeling confident, but obviously it's about where you are then positioned, and everybody wants to be at the front because that's the shortest throw. And then obviously there's the sort of the middle bit where that's going to be the bit where you're going to get stumped probably. So then if you're not at the front, push for the back. And we were in the team that obviously had the twins who were very insistent on going in the front, despite the fact they probably should really have been in the middle. Because they probably were good catchers and throwers. I don't know. I'm just assuming. And then we have Matt, who obviously knew what he was doing as well and was very adamant on how we were going to line ourselves up and how the game should be played. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not going in the middle because that feels vulnerable. So I put myself at the back, and no one really cared, you know.
Well, it seems like the blue line was the one that didn't really care because y'all had the twins up in front.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been up front, but I mean, what can I say? There's really someone who I love who became a really good friend, player 412, AJ, and she's got 3 boys, and she was like, I'll be in the middle. I can take this. I play baseball, so she was confident and she was fine and happy with it. But I don't know how that happened. I kept quite quiet in that. Again, I think my strategy was just to stay under the radar and push myself towards the back if I wasn't going to get to the front, which I did.
Yeah, you went to the back of the line,
Yeah.
and the game got commenced, and a lot of people staying, but then in the middle, some people start leaving, and then it's the ball keeps bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. Does it ever get to you?
It's again, I was the last person, so the 12th ball fell when the person in front of me threw it, and it was gone. So by the skin of my teeth, I went through. It was
And
close.
standing,
Yes,
literally the last one standing.
literally.
Well,
that one.
congratulations. You make it
Yes.
past catch. She's moving up and on like the Jeffersons. Nothing can stop you. And you just playing a real low-key game right now. We like it. That's how you that's how you win the game. Low key.
Yeah.
You got to be low key. And so the game is over. You guys return to the dorms, and we find out there are only 74 players left. And so soon the guards come out, and the next morning you see a doll in the middle. Do you think about getting this doll?
No, I'm still not ready to step up. But my lovely, lovely friend, Shelley, player 303, she was thinking about it because it was a pink doll and she loves pink. So she'd been thinking about it all day. And yeah, no, I wasn't up for it. I think the more I saw some of the people opening it and getting disadvantages, I was pleased that I didn't step up for it. And then obviously Shelley got given it by Natalie, I believe, at the very end. And what they don't show you, which is very odd, is that Shelley, player 303, got immunity from the next game for her and another player. And I was that player. Mic drop. Yeah. I didn't come in.
What?
Yes, I didn't have to play Mingle.
What?
Yes.
Did they announce this on did everybody know this, or was it just you two that knew this?
No, everybody. So in the dorm, she got and actually, do you know what? I've got a video clip, which I can show you now if you want, of her leaving the guard, okay, with 2 badges, with 2 immunity badges. And so she gave me immunity, but they didn't show it. And in fact, I'm going to show you now, look, a little picture here. Where is it? That is me with the immunity badge.
Oh.
Talking to Shelley.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I wonder why they didn't show that.
I don't know. And all my friends, because obviously when you were watching episodes 1 to 4, they were like, "Oh, you did so well. So sorry that you didn't make it through Mingle." I was like, "I'm still here. I haven't gone yet." So
Wow.
yeah, I know.
That is so weird. Why omit that from the show? I'm just trying to think of a good reason, but I cannot think of it. That's so weird.
Because
That's
they didn't
so
want me
weird.
to
Well,
be out to be a kind person, maybe. Like, Shelley came across as a good person. Maybe I'm not meant to be a good person that Shelley chose. Who knows?
yeah, I don't know, because then yeah, that's crazy. Well,
Yes.
that's the first I've ever heard of that. That's mind blowing to me. I can't believe that. Well, congratulations.
I know.
I'll say congratulations in advance. I'll make it past the next game already.
Yes.
But before that, 75, before she gives it to 303, she has to eliminate a player, and she eliminates player 80. Did you feel anything about that?
Yeah, and was that Danielle?
Player 80.
I think it was.
Player.
Really gorgeous Danielle. I was really upset.
Yeah,
'cause
player.
she'd become a good friend of mine.
Yeah, player 80 was Ashley, actually.
Ashley, that's what I mean. Ashley.
Yeah, she has two.
Danielle,
She was a
what-
mom. She was a mom.
Yes, so it was her. Brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm calling her Danielle. Ashley, yeah, I was really sad that she went. So that was quite random. Yeah, I don't know why that happened, but yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah, that was crazy. Shout out Ashley. And so soon, 303 gets it, and then you told me what just happened, which is crazy. But then 303 gives it to 98, Matthew. He's the last one with the doll. And now he goes into the boiler room and he comes out and he has a decision to make. He has to put a player up for elimination alongside him to be voted out. And so when he comes out and he gives this speech, tell me how you feel about the speech.
I mean, look, at that point, I didn't really know Matt. I had just found him quite loud, and I now know him as a person, and he's really nice. Just to caveat that. And I liked the twins. I have an older son as well, so I have my eldest who's 19, so not so far away from the boys' ages. So I felt, and I did have and I had spoken to them quite a lot. So again, people don't see the relationships that are formed, and actually we'd had some quite nice moments and chats and stuff like that. So it was hard, and actually I was going to save the twin again up until kind of like the last minute, where it was a question of, what, they are stronger together, they are good, they have had quite the game so far, and I was a bit annoyed about the catch. I was like, I'll go with Matt, and that was what I did.
Said not for the queen this time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, 431 is soon eliminated, and he is out of here. And so I guess this is different because we go to Mingle, but so when they go to Mingle, where do you go?
We just hang out for quite a long time, but we're not. When I say hanging out, we're not we're not talking to each other. So we are separated, and we've been given our marbles. Actually, the guard came in. I thought they might record that again or share that, but they didn't. So we know that we know from that very early on that day that we're going to have to play each other at marbles, and we just have to sit with that all day, wait for everyone to come back.
So how long were you sitting for
Do
alone?
you know what? I really, seriously, honestly don't know, but I think it was quite some time. You'll know how long those days were.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's never nobody in our season skipped a game, so it's like skipping a whole game, I mean, that's a whole day you're by yourself
Yeah,
and more than that. So
yeah.
it's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, wow, that's
And
insane.
it was intense because, that white room is quite intense. So yeah, it was an interesting day.
That's so strange. I mean, at least they could have let you watch, like, can we just watch the game? Like,
Yeah.
is that gonna hurt somebody? But they said no. And so it's soon time for marbles. So when you get back with the people that's about to go to marbles and they see you guys, do they like let you know what went down and everything like that, or what they
Sort
say?
of. I mean, you know what happens when those things, happen. They want to save staff. So, I do know that someone who I became very close to, Claire 398, Trinity, he'd obviously had a really tough game. And actually he sat with me for about half an hour. We were kind of just trying to chill him out a bit. So yeah, I knew it had been an intense game. As the days unfolded, we learnt about the intensity, and then obviously having seen it, we didn't know too much at the time.
Mm. Okay, okay. And so, well, soon we get to marbles, and obviously it's marbles. You pick which game you want. Only one player moves on. They didn't really show your guys' marble game,
No,
and
it was
so
pretty
can you explain
boring.
how that went for you?
Yes, it was terrible. So you have to obviously choose your game, and as you know, because you guys would have done marbles at some point. If you are in a draw, you have to come up with a game where you can then decide, because obviously it might not end up that way. So we had the pot. We were throwing marbles in the pot. My 10th marble went in, so I was like, "Yes, it's in the bag." And then Shelley's 10th marble went in. So it was like, what are the chances of that? So then we had to do which hand, and Shelley chose the wrong hand. And so then she went.
And she is gone, dramatic. How were you feeling once you had to eliminate your friend like that?
Oh,
That just saved you.
it was horrible. It was really horrible because she is such a cool chick. And, I would never have met her had I not been in there. I would probably not have been in there, right? Because Mingle was such an intense game. So it felt horrible. It really did. So sort of, I wanted to carry on and do her proud.
Well, shout out Shelly, man. She's definitely the real MVP.
Yeah.
And so you get back into the dorms, and there are only 22 players left. Are you smelling the money at this point?
No, do you know what? I never was. I was always just, I can't quite believe I'm here. And I just wanted to enjoy. I really just wanted to enjoy the experience. I honestly, hand on my heart, I hadn't really thought about any strategy or alliances. I was just letting it all happen, I guess, naturally, and finding where that fell.
Okay, okay, I like that. She's just cruising, cruise control.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I'm just gonna live with and keep it moving. That's a good way to go about things. And so, you guys get back, and you guys must find 3 monitors. And when it's time for these monitors, tell me how that went down from your perspective.
Yeah, I was like, now it's time to step up. I just thought there's 22 people. I haven't had an impact. I haven't played much. I've had an easy ride, really, if you think about it. I didn't have to catch a ball. I got immunity from Bingle, so I almost felt like now's my time to take one for the team, and put myself above the parapet and see what happens. That was why I was really adamant that I did it. Um, yeah, and again, do you know what's so funny when you watch back, and then you see everyone in the dorm going, "Oh yeah, they might be monitors, but something bad's going to happen." I didn't even I don't know. I didn't even think like about something bad happening. I just thought about, oh, this will be fun. I'll be a monitor. I might get to see what's in the kitchen, or in one of the rooms, and something different. I didn't think about the consequences of it.
Well, you didn't think too much, so it's like, look, we gonna get a lady up in there. We can't only have 3 guys, and so you pick 410, 230, and yourself. You
Yeah.
are the 3 monitors. And right when that happens, they're like, all right, you get satin sheets. You gotta have somebody make your bed. How'd you like the sheets and make somebody making your bed and stuff for you?
Yeah, that was fun. I had Kevin make my bed. Kevin was like, "I'll do it." And do you know what? They were really lovely sheets. They were different sheets. So it felt really, yeah, it felt quite exciting. And again, I still didn't think, Or maybe I did at that point. Maybe I was like, oh, this isn't good. They're being too nice. Something's coming.
Hey, something was coming, and that something was breakfast the next day. How was the breakfast?
Breakfast and pancake. That felt so mean. Like, that felt so mean. And I know how hungry some of the guys were in there because, they obviously used to bigger meals. And I felt like the worst bit was I couldn't actually eat all my pancakes. And so I just wanted to give it to them, but we weren't allowed to. So, that felt mean, but they were delicious.
Hey, y'all hear that? That was good, man. Well, soon it's time to get down to business, and they say, monitors, we got to go outside. And they take you guys to the white room once again, and there's a box in the middle of the room, and the voice above says, you must select 3 players to put at risk for elimination. So from your perspective, how'd that go down?
Yeah, I let the boys take a little bit of control, actually, because I wasn't going to put Stephen or Kevin or sort of the people that I was close to because it felt risky to do that. Obviously, we didn't know. I didn't want them to be. Did they say for elimination or was it just a game? I can't even remember. They say 3 players.
They
up
said
for
they must
elimination.
select 3 players to put at risk for elimination.
Put at risk of. Okay, yeah. So I was never going to put them. So they sort of mentioned Greg and Karim. I think they were the ones that hadn't had the most of the friendships. And then 98 just seemed like the obvious choice because I think that people just found him intense, and it was nothing personal. I think it was just a good opportunity to, to put him up and see what happened. So that was why we came up with those 3.
Yeah, 437, 417, and 98. It's time for y'all to get up and step to the plate, aka the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Soon they get up, they leave. The voice above comes and says, okay, now the monitors did this for everybody. Did you guys hear that too when they said what you guys did?
No.
Oh, well, they told everybody else who the monitors sent in the room and whatnot, and then they announced to you guys the first player, or one of you guys are at risk for elimination, sacrifice essentially. First player to put their number in the box will sacrifice themselves to save your teammates and eliminate all the 3 players in the other room. And so when you heard this, what's the first thing you was thinking?
Shit. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you can say what you need to say, Coach. Me too. I was thinking the same.
I was like, oh, crap. How are we going to do this? Now, I think we all knew that in the room next door, they would probably be struggling to kind of come up with an agreement. And actually, I'm really glad you've asked this question because what's really interesting is that last week, I found out that there is a different version of what happened going around. Okay, so the version that I remember and the version that I felt like I was part of was we had to come up with a game. I said, I don't know how to play rock, paper, scissors with 3 people. Okay, and then Isaiah looks at Max, turns to Max and goes, right, you and me, let's do it right here, right now. And Max goes, just me and you? And Isaiah goes, yes, keep her out of it or whatever. And so they just then played, immediately went to it, played. It was really quick. Max was then very honourable, ripped off his number, put it in the box. I mean, I think we were well ahead of them. However, the version that I have heard is that I refused to play and said I'm not playing because of my son. And I know that there's a clip where it says something, my son, and then it says something like Max's mum. Those bits were edited in, I think, before we played the game as to, they gave us an opportunity to say why we were there before it all started. So again, it was just clever, sort of possible editing. But I didn't dispute not playing. I wasn't even given an opportunity to dispute not playing because the boys just went straight into it. So I don't know where that rumour has come from that I totally point blank refused to play. But I didn't refuse to play. It was just taken out of my hands and they were quick. Those boys were quick.
Yeah, no, Isaiah was pretty clear. I spoke to him and he said, look, right when it happened, they looked at each other, each offered the 3. He kind of said the same thing as you. You said, I can't play. I don't know how to play 3-way rock, paper, scissors. And then he's like, all right, you. And so he went through it pretty quick. So that sounds accurate. I'm glad you were able to clear that up because they did in the show it a little bit different, some other dialogue in there. But I'm glad you cleared that up because it was just like that. Like you said, like 30, 40 seconds.
It was so quick. And I know that one of the other players has done a TikTok like explaining it and taking me down, saying, and I can't even believe that player 327 refused to play. She kicked up a fuss, da da da. And I'm, as is expected,
I
there's
think
a lot of hate on that TikTok. That's fine, but I didn't refuse to play. I wouldn't. That's not the person I am.
I think the only thing that they have you saying is like, I can't go home right now or something like that.
Yes.
That might have been,
Yeah.
But
And
saying I
that might
can't
have
go home
been
doesn't.
at the beginning, right? Like before we'd even started to do the games, because we all know that words can be put in the right place to suit the text.
Yeah, just saying, saying your defense, saying I can't go home doesn't mean like I'm not playing the game. It's
Yeah.
just like I can't go home.
Yeah.
I would say that I'm like I can't go home right now.
Yeah.
But people can
Nobody
say,
wanted
well,
to go
you
home.
refuse to play.
Yeah, I didn't refuse to
Exactly.
play. By the
Okay,
way, I
cool.
have
I'm good.
since learned how to play rock, paper, scissors with 3 people.
Okay, well there we go. Look, next time you can play. Look, she signed up for the money. She's like, look, I don't know. Well, congratulations. You guys eventually do make it past that. And so you get the other players eliminated as well as Max is out as well. So 417, 437, and 98 out of here. And so soon you come back in the dorms. What was it like getting back into the dorms? Were you welcomed with a warm reception?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had my boys there. So 183 and 410. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to go back in there. It was quite emotional. It felt quite draining because obviously we had to pick somebody else to replace Max. And that felt quite hard to do. Again, I very much trusted Isaiah at that point because he'd had my back and he probably knew more people there at the time than I did. Sort of with the guys that I was sort of sticking with. And so it felt amazing to walk back in. I didn't like the fact that we obviously had a gold coin with us and we were about to have to, sort of give Claire that news and then dump on her.
Yeah, so you guys get back at this coin. What on your point of view, why'd you pick Claire?
I didn't I went with it. I wanted another girl, to be fair. And Isaiah said that she was trustworthy. They formed a good friendship or they had a good alliance from what he said. And so he'd just done me the favor, right? I felt like the least I could do was let him pick who he felt comfortable with.
He's like, I'm gonna lay back. I took a step forward, and one of the times it was too crazy. So I gotta get back.
I'm done.
I got hands up. And so Claire, you give the coin to her, and soon she finds out that she gets the power to eliminate someone. So do you ever find out about this power?
We knew that she had, because we gave her the coin, so we knew that she had that.
Oh, that's right. You knew that. Okay.
And I felt quite vulnerable, like myself, because it could have been any of us. I didn't know her very well. I'd made her a monitor. She didn't want to be a monitor. So I definitely feel like I could have been quite vulnerable at that point. And, I think she went through her own process of thinking who it was and who she might choose. And then, what happened. And she obviously changed her mind, I think, on that morning.
Yeah, the morning comes back around the next day, and so Isaiah, he woke up on the right side of the bed, and he's feeling some type of way because his friends are kind of isolating him to a degree, and so he comes to you and Claire and explains that, hey, like, it's time for everyone for themselves. I can't keep looking out for everybody. This, that, and the third. For that conversation, how did it interpret from your POV?
Again, it wasn't. I didn't really it probably didn't hit me as much as it hit Claire, but then I think that's because she had more of a friendship with him. I get that it was every man for himself. I think it was always every man for himself kind of in there anyway. So, I mean, I would not have wanted to be in her shoes at all. I understand why she chose him. So, there's no hard feelings obviously on my part. And I thought, once she did it and then she had the opportunity to explain that to everybody, everybody did understand it and I think sort of supported her. Obviously it felt, on my part, I just wanted her to have made that right decision that felt right for her because it was her choice.
So yeah, she makes that decision. You kind of didn't really have much to do with it. You're not eliminating nobody, and what was said. And soon, yeah, she eliminates Isaiah. Were you shocked? Were you like, what were you thinking when she did that?
I think I was just relieved because I realized at that point that it really could have been me, right? Because I know she did it because of what he said, but also, maybe it was because he'd put her up for being a monitor, which we'd both done. So I think at that point I was relieved.
So if it wasn't him, you think it could have been you next?
I mean, maybe, yeah.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dangerous position, and it's like maybe you could have picked someone else to be monitored. She just saw what happened to you guys going into the room, and she's like, I didn't want this, and now I have to do this. And luckily, it's not I'm not going to get eliminated, but I felt maybe betrayed because I felt like I got set up from her point of view. Could be that. And there's other, you guys have limited information. So
Yes.
it's all everything that's given to you can be taken one way or another. But yes, Isaiah is soon eliminated and he is out of there. I know he was tight. And so, she fesses up to what she did and why she did. And when she told everybody this after the fact, how did you feel about her speech after?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think, do you know what? I think it's really important when things like that happen, to be honest and say, yes, I did that or I didn't, because the likelihood is that somebody else is going to know, because she'd obviously shared it with Mackenzie 451, and actually someone else got that information on you, and then they might use it against you. I think it was the right thing to do, just to say it how it is.
That's how it is. And so y'all soon leave into the next game and you get into the white room again. And now there are all these different colored vests. And now you and 409, Claire, must pick teams of 2 for the next game. So you guys have this responsibility now. You're back in the limelight. And tell me how how this process went for you.
Yeah, we just basically thought, I mean, do we put friends together? Do you put friends apart? That was the hardest decision out of all of that, I think, because everybody had pairs. So that was quite an easy thing to do. And obviously Claire and I split up because she was better friends with somebody else. And I obviously had AJ 412. So that was why we did it like that. And then obviously the Chris, Vanessa and Drake, I think, are the last sort of 3. And I put Chris through because I think that morning look, it wasn't a question of putting them through. We didn't know what was going to happen. But chose Chris because he'd been telling me about his girls that morning and we'd had a really nice talk and I just thought he's a good guy. I'd like to see him go through. And actually Vanessa and I had a great friendship. So I was never not going to choose Vanessa. It was just a question of who to put her with because she didn't have a strong pair of anybody. So that was kind of the reasoning around that. And then leaving Drake there because I guess between the two of us, we didn't know who he really had as a friend.
He was in there all by himself. Y'all left him alone. And so, well, soon we think, but then he gets a chance to switch with someone. He switches with Trinity. So the pairs are 402, 183, 72, 369, you and 412. 110, 409, 383, 387, 451, 398, and 318, 17. And so y'all leave the room and y'all go into the game of slides and ladders. So when you first walk in there, what are you thinking?
Wow. So we call it snakes and ladders in the UK. And it definitely was a game of snakes and ladders. So I loved it because I always played that game as a kid. So playing that life-size version was exciting. I think none of us knew how heated it was maybe going to get because there's always a twist. But it was exciting. It was incredible. You know what it was like to walk out and see those sets. So yeah, it was amazing. And I was worried, obviously, when they then say only 6 teams get through, because there's a lot of people to go kind of thing. So it was, exciting, terrifying, all at the same time.
Yeah, terrifying, but amazing set and good job, production crew, and getting this game looking A1 top notch. It was a beautiful set. And so, the game is simple. Roll the dice is kind of like, Candyland to an extent. Monopoly settings. And so the game's getting started and whatnot. And really early on, we get, Perla, yellow team, and red team kind of going back at each other, 318. What was your take on their beef?
I mean, look, it was a game, and I have to say, I know that like it didn't go down well with some people. Stephen's kind of like, come on, but it was funny at the end of the day. I mean, it wasn't maybe at the moment. I think looking back, it might be funny, but everyone was there. Everyone was there to win, and it was, it was revenge. It was revenge at the end of the day. Perla did Perla and Zoe did what they did to Kevin and Stephen. So Stephen was like, "Yeah, revenge."
Yeah,
I
no, he
mean,
was
that's
fair.
their
I think
game.
he was fair in him getting them back. I mean, you hit
Yeah,
me, I'm gonna hit you back. Like
yeah,
that's just how it goes. But soon in the game is where it gets dicey. Perla gets on a card and she got to pick a team to send back to the start. I got all the details. I got
I know
all.
you have.
And she chooses the pink team, which is your
Yeah,
team. Y'all are hot. Y'all like us. Why us? And so she sends y'all back, and don't you play that through me real quick. Play that through
yeah.
me.
I was really frustrated, as you can tell, at that point. We had already, again, I don't think they'd shown it. We had already, or maybe it was even after that. I can't remember again because it all rolled into one. Been brought back down. So it had happened to us already. So it was frustrating because each time we'd been really close to finishing. And I think Deja and, Deja and Faith had brought us down earlier in the game. So that was annoying. What went through my mind when that happened was, and again, I think just to set the record straight, is that I think everybody in that room, and again, my problems are no bigger than anybody else's problems. That's one thing I want to say. We've all got kids, we've all got families that we want to provide for, we've all got tragedies, we've all got trauma. I just say it how it is. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm very vocal about that because the one thing I wanted to do was raise awareness of my son's disease. So, all of that is going through my mind. I'm close to it. And they all knew about my son. So I had conversations. So it wasn't as if nobody knew why I was there. And that's why you can see, I guess, Perla's reaction when I say, tell that to my son. If she hadn't known about my son, she wouldn't have said, she just said, tell that to my son, and then been so emotional about it. Because if someone didn't know about it, they would have gone, what are you talking about? So to put that into context, it wasn't Perla that I was having a go at, it was the situation. And I think that is the clear thing. If it had been Kevin, if it had been Stephen, if it had been Justin, whoever it had been, at that particular point in time, I was fuming, and it felt unfair and unjust on the situation and not at the person. So I think, again, cleverly, played out, edited, made it look like it was an attack on Perla, and I would never want to put that situation onto anybody in particular. It was just the situation as a whole umbrella. And if I'm honest with you, even now, like my friends, my family, my sort of British counterparts, they don't think there's anything so wrong with that comment. So I always think it's about whose eyes you're looking at it through, so it's not the ideal thing to say, but I don't think it's as bad as it's perhaps been made out to be, because it was a good TV dramatic moment, is what I would say. And on the flip side of that, on the plus side even, the amount of people that have reached out whose kids have got PCD, or grown-ups who have had PCD, who have said to me, don't worry, I'm living a full life, and I'm this age. It's been quite overwhelming, like really like heartwarming. So I wouldn't change that situation because the amount of people that it has helped. What I would change is perhaps making Perla feel the way that she did.
No, that's very beautifully said. And I could tell, even after the game was over, you explained like that wasn't my intention and whatnot. And so, well, right after that did happen and you saw her start crying again, did it kind of hit you like, I know it's heat of the moment, so you were in the fire of the battle. You ain't thinking about all that extra stuff. We got the political answers for after the game's over with. But right now, like I'm on it. Were you did you see her reaction after you passed her and said that?
Yeah, I saw it. Again, the drama is always good for TV. I'm not gonna lie. And I felt angry for quite some time after. afterwards, and AJ, which they don't show, she was like, come on, get your head back in the game, calm down, we can still do this, we can still win, you've got this, all of that sort of stuff. So it did take me a while. I did feel really bad because I do hate upsetting people. So in my mind I was like, oh, I wanted to sort of hug her and say sorry, like then and there. Actually, what they didn't show was when we went out at the top, we leave and Perla's on that ledge just behind us. Before I go through the doors, I turn to her and I hold her hand and I say, I am really, really sorry, good luck. And I walk out. So again, that's a moment that they didn't show.
Of course they're gonna leave that part out, the show.
Yeah.
Man, of course they're gonna leave that part out. But that was good on you.
I will add, and whether I'm meant to or not, I
Go ahead,
may as
you're
well
good.
share it. I actually ended up speaking to, going out of set and speaking to welfare, because I said how upset I was at making her feel bad. Not that I'd said it because it was a situation that I wanted, but I was quite traumatized myself by that reaction. So I think that's important to say too.
Hey, that's fair, man. I'm glad you were able to put that out there because the edit's gonna seem one way, but as I know and others some don't, there is always a story behind what you see. Everything is fabricated to a degree, and it's not always what it seems, especially on TV. This ain't Big Brother where we got cameras all over the place and we can see a full context. This is a heavily, 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 heavily edited version, and I'm glad you're able to clear that up. But yeah, they did have you on TV kind of looking like a little crazy there, but I'm glad that was beautifully said by you, that how you were able to clear that up. So I'm real happy to hear that. And so, but congratulations as well. You do make it top and through. So you making it through the games and whatnot, and you made it on down the slide. And so when you get back into the room this time, are you now smelling the money?
I mean, I don't think no. It's becoming more. It's becoming more real. But you look around that room and there's, you've got competitive people. So no, and I knew that Circle of Trust was coming, and I didn't really know how to play that. I mean, I assumed Circle of Trust was coming because that was always going to be a good one to play, and I thought I'd be terrible at it. So that was a real concern. So I guess I kind of. I don't know, it's really hard as well when you've been in there for that long. The money is so close, but you are tired, you are hungry. And your thoughts are really turning to your family. It's kind of like a weird thing where I think I felt like, and I said it quite a few times, I think, to a lot of people, it feels like a win-win situation already, because like if I win the money, that's obviously amazing, and I can do so much with it, but equally I feel like a winner already because I've come this far and I've made some really good friends. So I think that's where my gameplay was at, and where my mind was at that point, was I just hadn't quite allowed myself to believe that money was going to be mine. I still felt like I was a winner.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, you are a winner. And so, you gave a little montage, you spoke about it just now, talking about your son and whatnot. I guess quickly, or how your other kids are upset that they didn't get mentioned?
No, they hate social media, so it's fine. My son is like 19. They're not like hate social media, but he doesn't do much on it, so he's fine. My daughter's 16, and they know that I love them very much. So that's all they need to know. They know why I went there, and we do things as a family to try and support Rupert, so they're on board.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Was that you braiding 318 Chris's hair?
No.
Oh, okay.
Melissa, I think.
Melissa, okay. I was like, who was braiding his hair?
Yeah.
Okay, so soon we get to Circle of Trust, finally, and you find that Trinity is in there. Were you shocked, or were you like, I knew he was gonna be here?
Oh, I don't know. I was so excited to see him. So I don't think I thought either way. I literally wanted to run over and hug him, but obviously it wasn't allowed. But I was so glad to see his face, because that boy just has so much energy and just the best smile. And so I was just so happy to see him.
Yeah. Well, shout out Trinity being in the room. 11 people left. So you sit down, you get the game. The game is about to commence. They obviously explain the rules. You get the box, put it on somebody's table, they guess, et cetera, et cetera. We know how Circle of Trust works. And so the game gets started, and you are first to go. And, it's time. They tap, tap, tap. It's time to get up. And interestingly enough, they didn't have this in our season, but the guards are walking around, which I think they should have done for our season too, but they
Yes,
did not.
okay.
And so, because that'll obviously hide who's walking where, because you can use your other senses instead of just,
Yes.
you can use a sense actually instead of no sense. So I didn't know if you knew they weren't walking around first season, but they
No, I
didn't. And so when you first got it, tell me what you're thinking.
I was like, really? Is this a joke? I just thought, no. Anyway, so what was my strategy? I walked around for ages. And again, they don't show that, right? So I got up and I walked around and I changed direction. I just thought I'm going to just go for as long, and then I walked through and around. Anyway, so I took quite a while. And then I just thought, who do I do? I mean, obviously I don't do Stephen or Vanessa or AJ. Perla's I thought was just too obvious. She would so say me. I think Chris would have said me, which he did. So I just, Trinity I could have done. He wouldn't have chosen me. But I wouldn't have done that to him. So I just think, sadly, Melissa was sort of the obvious choice. And it didn't feel good because actually we'd had a really nice conversation that morning. So it didn't feel good, but I did what I had to do to stay in the game.
You did what you had to do to stick in the game, and you put it on Melissa's table. And I can't see all the relationships, so I do not know. The audience does not know. And so she's guessing. She picks Chris, and she's out of here. Dramatic fall. You just got your friend, But the game must go on, and you're doing what you got to do to keep it moving. And so for the rest of the game, so this game was kind of interesting to watch just because they don't show everything. They skip like sometimes who has picked up the box and who sets it on the tables. So I wasn't able to get everything. You get grilled a little bit by Steven about the box being on his Steven, yeah, no, not Steven,
No,
Chris grills you. Yeah, Chris
he
grills
really
you.
grilled me as well, by the way. Like, that was massively edited, and I was there going to him, I have not done this to you. I know about your girls. I wouldn't do it to you. Please don't choose me because you're going to go home. Like, literally, until even when he pulled me up, even when we were standing there, I was like, Chris, this is a big mistake. Change your mind.
Yeah, he said you tried to get him to, but he was not budging, and he's out of there. So throughout this game, they skip a lot, like I said, and that's all I have for you, at least. But is there anything else that happens with you in this game that they did not show?
No, not really. I got not really. I mean, Claire asked questions, thinking it was me at one point. But no, I mean, just that we did have time to ask questions for a lot of people. But other than me putting the desk on Melissa's desk and Chris accusing me, it was pretty uneventful.
Well, she was did her first little round. That was it. I'm just here now. And so it's nice, honestly. I guess you didn't get the box placed on your desk as well, just because, that's the worst situation to be in. So
Yeah, totally.
sliding on through. And but you got to participate. So you finished the game, and right when you finish, Steven Deja presses him, and she's like, "Did you eliminate Faith?"
Yes.
And he's like, "Yeah." So when you heard him say that, were you like shocked to hear him admit it, or what?
No, again, I guess it's like that same situation that Claire was in earlier on with Isaiah. Is just say, because Deja's a clever girl, right? She knows her stuff. And I think had he lied at that point, he would have made himself even more of a target than he already was.
Facts. And so, well, congratulations, top 6. Oh my gosh, are you smelling the money now?
Yeah, I am now. Now it feels really close. Yeah. And everyone's starting to talk about like the tuxedos and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that would be fun. And then, well, 5 tuxedos came out.
Yeah, the tuxedos do come out. You do see the boxes of the tuxedos come out. And so they bring the boxes out, and they soon say there's going to be another elimination. And they announce the game is basically Shuffleboard. They explain the rules. You split in teams of 2. And then you got to do a final round, etc. So when you heard these rules and them come out with that, I guess I'll backtrack. When you first saw them bring out the boxes, were you like, "Oh, it's time," or did you notice initially there
No,
was only 5?
yeah, we saw there were 5, so we were like, oh my God, someone's going home.
And so, when they explain the rule, they explain the game. Now, what do you think about that? Are
Yeah,
you
so
confident?
I mean, I thought I would be better than I was. Had we done the teams differently, I would rather maybe like maybe swap Trinity for Vanessa. Would have been sort of my preference, or actually for me to have gone with maybe Paula and Dej. Like I just think I don't know if the teams have been different, but like it is what it is. I also feel like I lost the toss, so I had to go first. So Trinity was chasing my shuffleboard. I feel like if I was chasing his, I would have it would have been maybe a better situation. Um, but I think in my heart of hearts, I remember being on that line and throwing the puck and just again thinking I could see my kids tomorrow. I mean, look, I could see my kids tomorrow. I could be $4.56 million richer. So I mean, it was hard. It was really hard. But yeah, holding Trinity's hand when I got shot was a special moment because we had a good friendship.
Yeah, no, that was a strong moment right there. It was a game of just kind of just let's just let it rip and just and also I don't know, did you guys get any practice rounds or anything
We
like
had
that
like
before?
one practice.
No.
I
So yeah, I
mean,
didn't get too much of a feel for it.
no, and I've
So,
never played
the biggest
shuffleboard.
thing, yeah, I mean, I used to work at a bar, but so like I got to play it a lot, so I'm kind of good with it. But every surface is different. Every shuffle can be a little different as well on the bottom. So they might not all be the same. And so it's still kind of a game of chance to a degree.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that is where your journey ended and the final test of the show for the dorms, at least. And you got top 6. That is amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you. You killed it. Amazing. So when you get eliminated and you get back to the hotel, can you tell me how you're feeling?
I'm just feeling I just want to go home. It's that sort of thing where I'm like, okay, I just want to go home now. It's done. I want to see my kids, my husband, and I want to have a bath. And I want to eat some food. So that was kind of the order of things. And obviously we, you know, yeah, I just wanted to do all of those things, but I couldn't do that quite immediately after.
Yeah, you had to spend some time there. You had to spend some time and just do the production things as we call
Yeah.
it. And so, but you do eventually get to go back home. When you get back home now, how you feeling?
Oh my God, there's tears everywhere. Everyone's crying as I walk in the door. And they want to know how I did and they want to know everything. But like, I didn't want to tell them. I mean, we're not supposed to tell them. And I didn't want to ruin it for them. So it was quite funny. Even as we were watching it, they were like, have you won the money? Did you win the money? They kept on saying like the whole time when we were watching it. And then obviously they saw I didn't. But it was amazing to come back. It was really emotional coming home. I've never been away from them for longer than like two nights probably. So that was a long time to be away from home. So it
Yeah, they said,
was,
Mom, I
yeah.
thought it was gonna be three
I
days. What's
know,
going
I
on?
know. I mean, can you imagine? They were like, and actually, the one thing I did was I wrote them, not my big kids, but my little one again. Everyone's like, oh, he's the favorite. But I wrote him a note every day, just kind of saying, today, I don't know what mommy will be doing, but that was one of the things actually, like from a psychologist's point of view, that was a good thing to do because obviously he's only 9 and to process somebody suddenly not being there is quite hard. And actually not that long well like I mean like 2 years ago my dad died and that had a massive impact on him, so I didn't want him just to think that I just like someone had just gone. So it was really important for me that I had these little notes and he knew that life was cool and I was coming back. And I think he was very relieved to see me. I have to say, obviously, I've just been in LA and just got back, and he was really anxious again, like me going. And then when he saw me come back, he was really, really relieved. So, I think it does have an impact on the kids, which makes it, even harder when you do go and do these things. Like it has to be for a good reason.
Yeah, no, kids are, that's the molding point. Everything that you get from those ages carry on with you for the rest of your life. The traumas, the good stuff, the bad stuff, everything. And that lives with you for the longest. I don't know how many adults I hear say, oh, I got this, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Oh, this habit came when I was a kid. Yeah, that stuff sticks with you for life.
Yeah.
And so it's very important. I mean, I've worked with kids many times in the past. I used to be a teacher, swim instructor, camp counselor, the whole nine. So I'm a big advocate on the kids. And, you know, you need to be hard, and I think kids need discipline, but also you need to treat their emotional side with such fragility that, you know, you don't want to scar them for life, because that's how you end up with bad people, adults going to jail, all these other things. And so I think that's great how you were doing those notes and being able to be, you know, as transparent as you possibly could have been in the situation, because some parents are just, I'm just going to put it out there, negligent when it comes to that, you know? They going to leave and not say when they coming back. Maybe like some parents I know.
I know. Like,
not maybe a parent. I know.
Yeah.
But this ain't about me.
Oh, bless you.
But anyways, well, Kate, that was amazing to hear your story and your journey through this entire, you know, Squid Game, the challenge season 2. Can you tell me what the biggest lesson or takeaway that you got from being a part of the game?
I mean, maybe think before I speak. No, I'm joking, because that's never going to happen. My mum's Italian. I have no chance. My mum's Italian and I have ADHD. So what comes out is like, that's coming out. I think the biggest thing that I learned was that, like, in a really weird way, obviously I am the sort of the center of kids' husbands' world. So by removing myself, it was quite interesting to see that, but actually also that they do value me. Like, I feel sometimes when you're there and you're on the ground as a parent, as a giver, as a carer, you can feel very sort of, you know, not taken advantage of, but I can't think of the word now, but unappreciated sometimes. And so I feel like they learned an appreciation of me, and equally I learned that they can cope without me. Like, it is okay. You know, and as I sort of said at the beginning, I think I said it, see, this is my brain, I had to get a carer to come and move in here to look after Rupert. And so actually for me to realize, and for him to realize, that he can stay well and he can be healthy, and it doesn't always have to be me, that other people can do that. It gives him that confidence to not necessarily rely on me so much, and to be a bit braver with things too. So I think it was a really good experience for us all as a family unit to kind of appreciate each other more, and also to realize that we can do things for ourselves.
Yeah, no, that's a big growing stepping stone, because imagine if you had never left and it's like he always has this, I need mom, I need mom, I need mom, I need mom. That can somehow cripple him as well in a different way in the future as well, you know, when it comes to, you know, to leave eventually. And, you know, you got this, you were able to do this kind of, I guess, called experiment trial leave with him. And he's now like, oh, I can do this. And that can go leaps and bounds beyond belief of his development as growing into a young adult and whatnot. And so I think that's amazing to hear, you know.
No, it was. I mean, as you know, it is a great experience.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent. Well, Kate, I'm so happy I get to chat with you on the podcast to hear everything that went down from your perspective. You did amazing once again. Like I said, it was great to see you at the finale as well. I'm glad you made it back home in one piece.
Me too.
And yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you, and I'm looking forward to seeing the other chats with everybody else as well, and hearing everyone's perspective.
Oh yeah, no, we got a lot coming out. I guess I can tell you right now, and everybody else, if you've seen this video, you've seen it come out by now, is Mackenzie's. So I did get to talk with Mackenzie, and she gave me some good insight on some things. But nobody told me that you got to skip the game, though. Nobody told me that yet.
That was a proper mic drop moment on your part. It was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, skipping games. I'm like, did people get to skip the first game too? Or I guess somebody did skip the first game, the twin. Yeah. So
And it was interesting,
Well,
which I didn't say, but I should say, because actually also, like, it was great skipping the game, but boy, does that not make you feel like a target, right? Because people are like, you didn't go through that trauma, we're coming for you. So
yeah,
it was, yeah.
insane.
Anyway,
Insane. Well,
thank you so much for giving me the space to share my story.
of course, of course. Thank you for joining. And for everybody else back at home, I thank y'all for watching and or listening. Till next time, y'all, peace, blessings, deuces, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.